Okay, Geoff, we've lost 3-0 at home, which doesn't happen often.
Hmm.
First thoughts on what this means?
It's early in the season, so uh, it's. I mean, listen, I set the stall out for the players when we got the fixtures out. 2 home games in a row. We want to get off to a good start. 6 points at the moment. We've got three, so it's half the target. Again, on reflection of the game, it's not a 3-0 game. I mean, if you watched it, I mean, again, they've just buried their chances, the 3 chances they got, and we haven't taken ours, which is a tale which we've heard so many times and last season as well. And it's one thing we want to get out of that sort of habit, because we will get punished, and we ultimately that was the draws last season in terms of us not being clinical enough at the right times of games, and ultimately that's got us in the position where we were last season. Don't get me wrong, we finished in the playoffs, but I feel a home playoff tie would have been so much more beneficial for us.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, on today it was just really sort of scrappy. All in all, that we couldn't. Our build-up play was terrible from the back. No real cohesion. The spaces, our game plan just didn't work in terms of getting the ball out to our fullbacks quickly enough. The overloads there. They're a good team. I have to give credit in the sense of like they stick to their shape. They press well, and they have sort of one game plan, which was to sort of turn us really and get the balls in behind. And in the percentage game, if you continuously do that, chances will come. And unfortunately, we didn't deal with it well enough. So it's disappointing because we know we can play so much better. But early in the season, you have time to rectify it. We had to make an early sub, which again didn't help,
Yeah.
disrupt us a little bit. But listen, like I say, it's early in the season. We're still assessing sort of teams. I think obviously there's more intel on us than there is on them. So again, so teams can come and do their research and stuff, which we've got to deal with. This has always been a cup final. It has been
Yeah.
since I've been here. So again, teams will step up. So listen, it's poor from us. We can't get away from that, and we've told the players, it's not good enough in terms of levels of what we expect, and it's up to us as a collective to do better next week.
Okay. You alluded to having to make an early change. Cameron forced off with injury. Uh, how's that looking?
We're gonna have to assess it again because with Cam, we've sort of had a schedule or sort of timetable of him in terms of where we're working with a physio because obviously maybe he's another sort of long-term injury, especially with Sam
Yeah.
Cook as well. So we're trying to manage them, Fred as well, as much as possible because we
Mm.
know them playing at anywhere near their levels. They're real sort of game changers, but then we've got to manage them as well. And this was a groin injury, sort of like. He tweaked it a little bit in the warm up, but he thought, okay, let's start and let's see how we get on because this is different now. There's no windows, so you can make 5 subs at
Yeah.
any given time, which obviously we're utilizing as much as possible. So we're gonna have to assess it, see how it is. But our squad depth is good in the sense of like we've added quite a few in all positions, goalkeepers or centre backs, midfielders and forward line. So we're not in a position where we have to sort of play players now anymore. I feel we're going to give players a run out. Players like Eman missed out today,
Yeah.
Felix, and a few others. Could easily have made the squad. In another given day. So that's what we're going to do. First sort of 6 to 10 games. We're going to assess our squad to see who can really step up to the mark, who may need a little bit extra time. If we need to add a few, we will. But that's every team will be going through that sort of process. So we'll assess it. We'll see, like you said, and we'll go again sort of next week. But it's all about now getting the confidence up with the players because no one likes to lose at home. Especially with the turnout again, the great turnout is today. So we can only apologise for that sort of performance, but it's up to us to sort of make it right next week.
Okay. Um, we did have chances to equalise. I guess one thing I'd be interested in is we've only got one goal in 2 home matches over
Yeah.
the course of the 2 matches. So, is there anything? I mean, obviously, Cameron going off doesn't help with that either.
Mm.
But is that a worry?
It is because our conversion rate I don't think was good last season either. And no, we've tried to, we're working on them on the Thursday night. Rudy's working them really hard in terms of the forwards, sort of working sort of repetition because that's all it is. A lot of times it's repetition in terms of getting in those situations and sort of using the right sort of finish and stuff because. Like a couple have fallen to no one, you would expect him to bury, Fred as well, and these are the the players you want your chances to fall
Yeah.
to. Louis, obviously, he's getting up to scratch, but he's another one I feel is quite clinical given the chances. So we can only, as I said, work on the Thursday, and try and encourage them to be a bit more confident, and then sort of pick out the right ball when you do get there. Because a couple of times we got in behind, but then the cutback wasn't there, or there was not enough bodies in the box. So that's something we can work on in the training, to be more clinical, because at this sort of level, and the first game counts. It counts so much in terms of like dictating the game, and that's why we always try to start fast at home, but using the crowd as an advantage. First 15 minutes, try and high press. If we get the early goal, I feel we sort of see out the rest of the game. But the longer it goes on, against teams like this, it just gives them the impetus, for them to sort of take a chance when they come, and then all of a sudden they've got one up. They've got something to hold on to, and then it changes the game and makes it a bit more difficult for us. So we've got to learn that way, and learn very quickly, because the expectations this season are different. Last season was sort of like a free hit. We just wanted to sort of stay up and see where we got to. This season's expectation is the playoffs. So if that's the expectations, you've got to start really well.
Yeah.
And like I said, we've got 1 win out of 2, which is not ideal, but we can make it right if we win next week. That's 6 points, and then we're sort of going on after that. So that's key, getting back on track really. But like I said, for these sort of 6 to 10 games, we're going to utilize our squad, especially with the cup games that we've got as well. And then we sort of like work in terms of like finding sort of different combinations, seeing what works, what doesn't, and then hopefully, something will click, and then we can go on a little bit of a run, because that's what we're known for, going on runs, especially second half of the season.
Yeah, brilliant. All right, thank you very much.
No problem. Thanks for your time.
Cheers.
So.